What is up, my freaks and my creeps, my ghouls and my gobs? It is the one and only DJP coming to you back with another episode of Nothing, because this is a new series that I wanted to do. Something I've always wanted to do when I first started creating content was review horror movies. Not just any movie, specifically horror movies. It's my favorite genre, so you know what? It only made sense. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to some of my favorite content creators based around horror movies and reviews and rankings and everything in between. So you know what? Shout out to Cody Leach, to the Cinema Snob, and to Dead Jester Cinema. Just three great cats, three guys who just really gave a big inspiration to myself as you know what? As I unfold this new chapter on In Straight Out of the Garden. So you guys, it's one of the best days of the year. It's Friday the 13th, but not only is it Friday the 13th, it is a Friday the 13th that is in October. I don't even know how rare these are, but it's freaking awesome. There's a lot of kookiness going on in the world right now, but we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Jason Voorhees. And I will be ranking all 12 of the current Friday the 13th timeline. You know what, you guys? These are my opinions, and you might have different opinions. And that just means that yours are wrong and mine are right. And it's okay to be wrong, you know? You can't always be right. So we are going to get started with number 12, and it is going to none other than this dog shit movie, Jason X 2001. I know that this movie's got some pretty good cult following, but I'm just not one of those people because I do not like that early 2000s horror vibe. I don't like the acting, I don't like the characters, I don't like the atmosphere, I don't like the setup. The storyline is trash. I think there's a scene in there where there's like two of the teeny bopper girls that are just like, hey, let's get naked. It's like, you're disrespecting the old horror movies where that just happened naturally. You don't gotta just give it to you right in your face. Come on, Jason X, do better. Move on to the next one, which is going to fall right into that category, you guys. Freddy vs. Jason 2003. Again, it just has the same components that Jason X does. The shitty filming, and I don't like any of it. It looks too overly done for a Friday the 13th movie. I will say that I do like the concept of Freddy vs. Jason. You know, you got two horror icons that are clashing heads. The story just is not what I wanted it to be. And plus, you know, you got that teaser that happened, I think, 10 years prior to that from Jason Goes to Hell, and it just wasn't capitalized in that time frame. So I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. Freddy vs. Jason, get lost. Moving on to number 10, and you probably guessed it from my last comment, but it's Jason Goes to Hell. Now, I don't know what it is in the beginning years of each decade. I don't think they produced very good horror movies from the 90s and the 2000s. You know, you got the 90s, I think Candyman really ranks supreme from when it came out to, you know, Scream, perhaps. That really brought a different light into horror, but it's just a weird movie. I don't really got much to say about it. I remember watching it as a kid at like a sleepover and just really not enjoying it. Not that it was scary, it didn't make any sense to me, you know. And like, I mean, even as I watched it as an adult, it still didn't make much sense. I think there was just a lot of different elements in there that were just kind of crammed together, and they just really hoped that everyone would like it. And my theory is that the 80s were just such a great time, or as I like to call them, the Grady's, that the 90s, they just suffered. It was like a hangover from the big party of the 80s, and the early 90s were like, oh man, we're just hungover from that big party. But there you go. That's what I got. Number 10, Jason Goes to Hell. Moving over to number 9, it's just a dull movie for me, Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Again, a cool concept in like the Carrie aspect of the girl who's able to control things with her mind, and then that's about it. The death of Jason I thought was pretty cool at the end of that movie. You know, obviously you got intro to Kane Hodder. Cheers to you, Kane. I really wish you would have been there for the earlier takes of Jason. But you know what? This is when we got you. But I mean, other than that, not really a great movie for myself. You know, it's definitely going to be in that category when I watch Friday the 13th movies. It's going to be, you know, in the lineup just because it's part of the series. But not one of my faves. We're going to move right along to number 8, Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. Not a fan. Other than the actually, I don't want to say that I'm not a huge fan of this movie. That would contradict to it not being higher in this list. But let me just explain for a moment, you guys. The Tommy Jarvis character I thought was fantastic. I thought in Part 4 it was fantastic. I thought you really saw him lose his marbles at the end of the movie. And then in Part 5, he's full-blown lost his marbles. But then Part 6, it doesn't pick up from there. It introduces you to this different style Tommy Jarvis, which I'm not really a big fan of. And the kids at the camp, Not for me. I think it brings a sense of comfort that there's so many kids, and obviously Jason's not going to be able to kill all these kids or campers, and I don't think that he kills any of them. But it gives you that sense. It's like, oh, you know what? It's gonna be okay because those kids are gonna be safe. So kind of eliminates that like eeriness, that scariness that the other Jasons really kind of that they gave us. But you know what? Naturally, Alice Cooper, man, rocks the house. You got Man Behind the Mask, Teenage Frankenstein, some great cuts. So I don't want to fully say I don't like this movie. I do take back how I initially started off, but it could have been better. Could have been better. Could have, would have, should have. Moving on to number 7, which is Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, you guys, I'm a very nostalgic person, and that's why this movie lands where it lands. You know, I remember back in the day walking up to Classic Video down Kedzie Avenue with my cousin and my 2 buddies, Kevin and Adam. And we were little. I remember my cousin's grandpa would just give him his card and we would just walk up. We were like 5 or 6 years old and rent horror movies. It was cool. But I remember like just being, we were just all fascinated. You know, we were just impressionable kids, like, oh, Jason Takes Manhattan, this is awesome. And then we walked home, you know, watched it, and we just loved it because we were kids being kids. So I get the hate on this movie, you guys, I totally do. But for me, it's got a little piece of my heart. Moving over to number 6, and I want to say from 6 down are just movies that are just, I think, are fantastic. If you're a horror fan, they're just good movies. So number 6 is going to go to the 2009 Friday the 13th remake, which was just, I thought it was a really great remake. I don't know why or how this movie gets hate on it. I think it's really puts together some really great elements of the Friday the 13th series. You know, you got the beginning with the Sackhead Jason, and it kind of just transitions. It, like, for me, it kind of puts the first 4 Friday the 13th movies into one and just does a really cool, you know, modern take on it. So, and then Jason, or what's his name? Whatever the cat's name is who played Jason. Derek Mears. Fantastic. Just brutal, menacing, demonic. Loved it. Good stuff. Friday the 13th remake. Okay in my book. Moving right below that, and it's going to be the Friday the 13th, the original, the 1980 classic. And that's going just because it's the Godfather, baby. I mean, or is it the Godmother, you know? Depending on which way you look at it. But, you know, you got young Kevin Bacon. You got the great summer atmosphere. It's like that. You can just feel June, you know, like the bugs are out there, they're bugging out, and it's like the counselors are getting ready for the kids. And they're acting like reckless teenagers. Who has been there? We all have. So good stuff. The ending is awesome. Pamela Voorhees coming out, getting her head chopped right off. Great stuff. Friday the 13th, the original. You got to pay a little respect to it. Right below that is Friday the 13th Part 3, the 3D one. Again, this is gonna just go right to that nostalgia. You know, I'm gonna take a little trip down nostalgia lane for me. But this is a movie I remember buying at Fort City Mall on VHS and being so excited to get home. Let's see, do I have the copy right here? Yeah, this is the original copy. Just being so excited to get home and watch it. You know, it's tacky. It's just like, you know, it's like the other ones as well. But it's like Jason gets his hockey mask in this one. You got the fantastic guy with Shelly. Shelly's just classic. You know, he's just constantly playing pranks. He's there to have a good time. Give the guy a break. Loved it. The kills are good. You know what? I like the lighting. I thought, you know, the more brightness of the setting was awesome. The bikers, the music, the soundtrack, everything. Friday the 13th, Part 3, 3D, good stuff. Moving on to the top 3, we're going into Friday the 13th, Part 2. Good follow-up. A great follow-up to the original. I mean, you got freaking Jason coming in with the Sackhead. He doesn't even have the hockey mask yet, because how is he going to get a hockey mask in the middle of an abandoned camp? He's not. But he probably can get a burlap potato sack and put it over his head with a pitchfork, and he's going to raise some hell. So, good casting, decent story, good kills. You know, the guy with the wheelchair gets it right in the chest, and he rolls down the hills. Iconic kill. Friday the 13th Part 2, 1981, definitely worth the watch. Great follow-up to the first one as well. Moving over to my top 2 Friday the 13th movies. Number 2 is going to none other than Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning, 1985. Shout out to you. Cheers to you, Roy. I thought this movie was just fantastic. It was a good follow-up to the fourth one. Was it basically the same? Yeah, but we want Jason. We want the camp. We want the countryside. We want the lakes. We want the hay barrels. We want all that stuff. That's what Jason is, man. That's the bread and butter of the Voorhees. So, New Beginning, great follow-up. You had Part 4, Tommy Jarvis hacking away at Jason, kills him, ends up losing his mind, as probably anybody would, as you lost all your family at like the age of 8 or 9. You saw them just butchered. You're probably going to end up in some type of house. I mean, let's just be honest. And he just is he's just like looking, he's just always looked like he's like fucking tweaking, and he probably is, because who wouldn't be? Excuse me. Just cool, man. I loved, you know, the character of who was the guy? Joey, who gets over the candy bar. Hokey, tacky, teens being teens. I loved it. And you gotta love the guy on the motorbike. You tell him, Ma. The hillbilly family, Ethel and Junior. Good stuff. Friday the 13th, part 5, New Beginning. You hold a dear place in my heart. And following up with the finale, which is going to go to none other than Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter. You guys just take a moment and just respect the beautiful art, cover art of what I would have been, you know, grabbing the VHS. This is a figure that I have, but it's basically the same thing on the VHS cover. It's just all black. You got Jason's mask. You got the knife right through it and the blood seeping out. I remember seeing this at Classic Video. You know, it was the movie poster on display. And just thinking to myself, wow, that is badass. They're finally going to kill Jason. Do they? No. But you know what? At the time you're a kid, you're impressionable. You don't really know what's going on. You just know that this is cool. I love that. I want to see that. You got Corey Feldman, fantastic role. And Crispin Glover with the dance. And Crispin Glover is just a weird, cool dude, in my opinion. I've always liked the guy. So, Friday the 13th, part 4. Actually, I don't even know what's called part 4. I think it's called Friday the 13th, final chapter. But the 4th series, in the 4th movie in the series. Fantastic. You guys, that's going to be a wrap for the Friday the 13th rankings. I hope you enjoy yourself. If you love this series, give me your rankings below. Give me your top 3, give me your top 2. I don't care. If you disagree, let me know why. But I'm wrapping this video up because I'm going to go ahead, crack another Steve Weiser, and keep following up on the Friday the 13th movie marathon. I hope you're well. You guys know the drill. Be good to each other. And I'm going to catch you on the flip side.